let's what we have. Some campus. One, two. We see having. Okay. All right. Just let us know if you're okay. We have audio now. It's fine. All right. So continue. The last question was asking. Sorry about it, and folks. We're just getting seeing we have sound, but it seems fine on our end. So I'm just trying to ensure that there are no issues. Oh, there we go. Fine.
Okay.
All right. So the question is, yeah, what inspired you to get involved in advocacy and community work?
Well, in regards to the youth advocacy, me personally, what brought me to that field is realizing that there wasn't much, there wasn't much opportunities for young males, and like people wouldn't come to, I wouldn't say us, but for me, I had to experiment a lot of things, you know. I didn't have someone teaching me what to do, especially things basic as creating a bank account, applying for school, etc. A lot of that I find out for myself. So that's what really brought me into like being a youth advocate and advocating for the youth to give the younger generation opportunities that I didn't get privy to, and that I believe that because of the age that I found out about it, I missed out a lot. So that's what really brought me into youth advocacy, because like I want to see change and I want to better things, bring the situation in a better direction.
All right. You come from a community. I talk about the constituency of Castro Central generally. Where I mean, over the years we have seen an uptick in, or in fact, there were labels ascribed. Let's put it this way: labels ascribed to inner city communities, and I think some of the issues that we face there are endemic to inner city communities throughout the world. So it's not only central. What in terms of that seeing that type of activity in the area, how did that affect you growing up?
Well, I was always an inside child, you know. I wasn't much of the going out type. I would always stay inside, stay to my books, stay to my electronic. Um, so it didn't really affect me much, but at the same time, it did had a mental role because, you know, a lot of my friends would have been involved in certain things that I wouldn't partake in, especially in primary school. When you're young, you get a lot of peer pressure. You get to meet different people from different communities, and because of that, I found like a big disconnect with a lot of children at my age in the primary school level. You know, I wasn't that connected. Um, but I would say it still had a mental role because I couldn't drown it out. It was happening around me. I just had to make sure that I stayed out of the bad crowd and focused on what I wanted to do.
Okay. Um, as in your role as president of the Catchy Central Youth and Sports Council, what does that involve and what impact do you hope to make within this organization?
In regards to the Cashew Central Youth and Sports Council, the main goal of the Youth and Sports Councils are to host initiatives and programs for their community, for their district, to basically improve the community and help the youth of the community, whether it be through programs, different initiatives, etc. What I wish for the Cashew Central Youth and Sports Council to do is to target a lot of not only academics, but a lot of creative work, you know, things like literature, um, graphic design, poetry, etc. Because what I realized is there's a big shift. Well, there was a shift from academics to sports, and right now there's a lack of
Interesting.
interest in the academics. Most of it went to sports. I mean, sport is a good thing, but there's a lot of the younger children that not necessarily good to be good at sports, you know, and I believe that they deserve an opportunity to shine as well.
Some may argue might you may have it backwards
Yeah.
because if I recall and if I look back before
Mm.
you were born, when I was in the 90s particularly, especially the early the mid 90s to early 2000s, when you look at sports as an intense focus, you can't even get anybody to come into the complex now or to watch a school's game. Where
Mm.
before you'd have girls watching both netball and basketball and at the same time that feel like spark. So I need to disagree with you.
Well, for me, what I realize, if you look at Intersect, for example, and a lot of sporting activities, you find that you would see a lot of people visiting it. Whereas if you compare to science fairs, like
Mhm.
there was a science fair last year. I had no idea they had a science fair. Like the coverage for these things have, I wouldn't say fallen, but the lack of interest has happened. Like wait, it has been a slow decline.
Okay.
Um, and also things like the Nancy challenge
Mm.
and
That was
spelling bees and that,
a
like
great show.
it stopped, and I really hope that it could continue or it can come back.
Maybe you could be part of that group that brings back something like an anti challenge. All right. As first vice president of the NYC, what are some of the key issues young people in St. Lucia are facing today, in your opinion, and what you guys are looking to tackle within that group?
In regards to the St. Lucia National Youth Council, what we have been focusing is mainly on the outreach. Since we are a new executive coming in, there's a lot of outreach we have to do to not only the district youth and sports councils, but also the student councils and also corporate partners, etc. We do have to make a connection and we do have to reconnect with them and get them on board with certain programs. Um, for April, we have a few activities upcoming for Youth Month, and we hope that we can connect with a lot of the district youth and sports councils. Um, in regards to what young people are experiencing, I can't talk on the organizational level, but I can talk on a personal level. What I realize is that a lot of my peers, they're under a lot of peer pressure to keep up appearances, and there's a lack of opportunities for jobs. I mean, people will tell us that we can apply to call centers, etc. And when some of us do apply, some of us aren't accepted, or if we have to go and apply somewhere else, we have a lack of experience, etc. And people are just not willing to take a chance on a lot of younger people.
Yeah.
Um,
Go ahead.
Not only that, but there's also a big stigma when it relates to certain male behaviors like toxic masculinity. I feel a lot of that we took it from the previous generation, and there hasn't been much said about it, you know? Like we normalize a lot of red flags, and I feel like that's something our generation needs to tackle so that the generation after us doesn't take.
I have a problem with the term toxic masculinity
Mhm,
because that I personally believe has been invented by those of the sex to try to
mhm,
downplay the equal role
mhm,
that I think both sexes genders have to play when it comes to relationship.
mhm,
So maybe a man kind of a man may possess a certain trait that right away it's called toxic masculinity. But there's a
mhm,
lot of toxic femininity which tends to be downplayed and
mhm,
we tend to get much of the blame. So that's thank you that. Of course, you spoke of creating opportunities for youth, sports, arts, academics, and
mhm.
leadership is one of them. And to tackle the part of leadership, in your experience with young people, start you mentioned in terms of getting work, but in terms of trying to step into leadership now, the challenges that they face. What, in your opinion, are some of those challenges?
Well, a lot of the challenges is that I would say with marketing, you know, you're not aware of the opportunities, so they miss a lot. I wouldn't say there's a lack of opportunities. I would say there's just a lack of coverage.
So when you say opportunities, or training opportunities, or
Yeah,
okay.
I feel like there are a lot of opportunities. It doesn't have to just be St. Lucia. There are various online programs that you can enter. There are free seminars so that you can improve your leadership skills. And there are a lot of organizations that are willing to help you. Um, Take for example, I would say Junior Chambers International,
Mhm.
JCI. It's an international organization and it has various chapters around different Caribbean countries as well as internationally. And they're currently recruiting members. And I feel like if you're a youth and you're interested in leadership and growing your skills, it would be a good opportunity to join them.
All right. You studied digital business and economics at South Louis, but you also plan on studying criminal justice. What inspired this shift in some other shift in career path?
Well, regarding my career path, I've had a lot of changes. Because initially, I wanted to be a programmer. That was back in grade six, when I was plugins for Minecraft servers, etc.
Oh, I think grade six.
Yeah, I was a bit of a nerd. I still a nerd, but
Mhm.
then I wouldn't say it got too easy, but like I lost passion for it because it became more of a job than a hobby, and that's when I shifted to business. I like money. I like to see
Who does
I like to see numbers grow. So I was focusing on going into either economics or finance, which is why I studied digital business and economics because the two fields I would say play directly in.
that? Mhm.
And then something happened in my personal life which made me shift more so from business to studying law. So I would be reading up on certain laws. I'll be watching videos, watching documentaries. At first, it started as an interest in international law and the American law, and then it switched more to what about our laws? Comparing our laws, the laws of Saint Lucia, the United Kingdom, Europe, and comparing it to the American law and seeing different loopholes. Like I like to see different loopholes and see the different cracks that the law have.
Mhm. And sometimes even how those laws shape society and human attitudes, you can tell that even certain laws, they they actually they foster the differences you see in different cultures within different countries. But, um, you also run your own electronics business. Sorry,
Mhm.
selling consoles, phones, and tablets. Now, how did that idea start? Grade six as well.
No, 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 no. I was a bit too young. So the electronics business, it's more of a recent venture. I was thinking about, okay, what can I do on the side that can really disrupt what like my actual job? And then I got the idea of, what, I know different ways to get things cheaper.
Mhm.
So, I can source them cheaper than certain places. And I decided I should try to flip some certain things. So at first it wasn't electronics. At first I started with anime merchandise. I would have buy it from AliExpress
That's
in
a niche, a very
a
niche.
very niche market. So I would I first started with banners.
Mhm.
Then I sold it to some friends, and then I realized the margins not that good and the wait time, like shipping something from all the way China back to St. Lucia, it would take some time. So I thought, well, what's something somebody always want or would always have a need for? And that's when I figured everybody needs electronics. People want to play games, people want to play on their tablets, get new devices, upgrade. And then it just kind of stuck. I bought I bought my first phone, and that was when I was just experimenting things. And unfortunately, it didn't go too well when you know the dangers of selling electronics, and I was very new to the selling scene in Saint Lucia, so it didn't go too well. Ended up losing some stuff, and then I tried it again, but much safer this time, doing it at safe location, knowing my customers before I actually go to the place. And then from there, it kind of just expanded and it's been going good.
All right. What motivates? We had that. The London Criminal came into the same thing. What lesson entrepreneurship taught you at such a young age?
Patience, it has taught me a lot of patience and how to deal with certain interactions and certain people because not everybody going to be the same. You're going to different people. When I talk to different people I buy the electronics from, they have different personalities, um, different patience levels, and even with my customers as well, they have different personalities. Some would be on time, some would not be on time. So it really taught me how to be patient an understanding of certain people's situation.
All right. When we get back, we're going to give our sponsors, the Youth Economy Agency, a plug, and also we're going to go into a rapid fire round, which I ask you a set of questions. Just respond the first thing that comes to your head.
Okay,
Yeah.
no problem.
So this is Youth Unplugged, sponsored by Youth Economy Agency, with me, your host Miguel Favory, and my guest Dequan Shaw, a young youth advocate at 21 years old, an entrepreneur, and a future criminologist or lawyer. We'll see how that goes.
But imagine, sometimes feeling like there's only 2 days in the week. Yesterday was Monday, and look at that Friday afternoon. So hear that. Do you have a talent or skill that you can turn into a business idea? Well, don't sleep on you, my youth. Get your business started today. The Youth Economy Agency will guide you. Provide funding. Yes, sister, provide funding. Plus training to run your business profitably. Yo, go online now to start living the St. Lucian dream. Just one click and boom, you're in business.
All right, and welcome back to Youth Unplugged with me, Miguel Favory, and my guest, Dequan Charles. Dequan, of course, we give our sponsors, the Economy Agency, a plug. We know what they're about, taking those talents and those interests and helping you shape it into a viable business venture. First off, have you ever sought assistance from the youth economy? And then just tell us if you, and then tell us if you have, tell us about the experience. If not, just tell us what you think about this entire initiative.
Um, I can't recall, but I believe I did apply for a grant on a different business. I did not the electronics. It was with one of my friends and their grandfather, but unfortunately, it kind of dwindled out since the grandfather unfortunately passed away. So that was really my only interaction with the Youth Economy Agency. In regards to what I think about the agency, I believe it's a very good initiative. Once I officially register my business, I also plan to reach out to them.
Hmm?
But I believe it's a great initiative because the youth need guidance, especially when it comes to entrepreneurship, coming up with proper business ideas and making the idea, turning it from an idea to the reality. I think the Youth Economy Agency really does that, especially not only with the grants and the loans, but with the knowledge they have as well.
Training. And it's sort of reduces what you spoke about earlier when you spoke about young people unable to get work either due to lack of experience and everything. And now they have an opportunity to create work for other people.
People, yeah.
All right. So we're entering the rapid fire round. Saying hello to those of you on the live right now. Marva Charles, Layla, and Lisa Love Phillips is very well spoken. All right. Rapid fire round. Early bird or night owl?
Definitely an
Why?
because I go to sleep like after 1, after 2 sometimes on the morning. So, I need to get up with my tea, my bread. And yeah,
What time do you get up?
I get up at around 6.
That's still late.
It's 5, 6
No
o'clock.
matter what, I go to bed. I get my quarter.
You get me.
Yeah, don't worry.
Yeah.
As you ask fans and you get more into school, you'll see. Uh, Leader or team player?
I would say team player
Team
because you have to be able to put yourself in other people's perspective to be a leader. So I believe it all comes down to being a team player, whether you're a leader or not.
There you go. To being a good leader, you have to be a team player. I was hoping to see how you
Yeah.
book or podcast.
Podcast. I would say podcast because
Gen Z.
sometimes you are not going to be able to read a book all the time. So the podcast really helps.
Gen Z. Gen Z. Business or politics?
Politics. We need to know what's going on around the world. We need to be educated on things not just happening in St. Lucia, but regionally and internationally.
Okay. One word that describes you.
Unique. Yeah.
Aren't we all?
Yeah.
All right. And finally, on that, one thing every young and Marva says definitely proud of you, Dequan. All right. The next last question, sorry, is one thing every young person should believe about themselves.
I believe every young person should believe that they have potential. Um, Looking at me, I was very quiet in school. I wasn't really the talkative type, and I would say I've come very far from how I was in not only primary school but secondary school, and that was only a few years ago. So I believe that every child or every young person in St. Lucia should believe that they have the potential to make change.
All right. You play any sports?
Well, I wouldn't say sports, but I do calisthenics. So like handstand, push-ups, muscle-ups, and this type of things.
Boy, you must love the beach. All right. So, final question for you, Dequan, as we wrap up. What message would you like to share with young people in St. Lucia who may feel like their voice does not matter?
If you believe your voice do not matter, I would say change the room you're in. Seek help. Don't be afraid to reach out to people your age. Even though someone might not look approachable, they very might well be approachable. So I would say never limit yourself and always be willing to put yourself in something you might not be uncomfortable in because it could be life changing.
No risk, no reward.
Yeah.
And folks, that was the one Charles, a youth advocate, entrepreneur, and community leader joining us today on Youth Unplugged. I'm very, very happy and proud to have him here. Number one, first of all, Anglican and SMC and Tapo. That makes you number one, of course. And of course, number two, which I've continually mentioned. And I'm happy to have had young males over the past 2 weeks, although it's Women's Week, but I guess I'll look for a young lady next week. But the fact that the worrying statistic has remained that the majority of our perpetrators of violent crime and victims are young men.
Yes.
And from an inner city community rising above what is going on around you to become a leader yourself and to go towards your goals and ambitions. I'm very, very happy, very proud of you. We had our and I'm sure the rest of St. Lucia and Central, of course, are proud of you. So I'm wishing you all the very best for future endeavors, and hopefully we can have you on Youth Club. Speaking about the youth, maybe after you go to the youth economy, you can do
A little update. Yeah, no.
all right. Okay, folks, to remind you that Youth Unplugged is proudly sponsored by the Youth Economy Agency, supporting innovation, entrepreneurship, and opportunity for young people across St. Lucia. And remember, if you or anyone you know is interested in being a guest on Youth Unplugged, the voice of millennials, you can send us an email at info@rciclucia.com. That's info@rciclucia.com, or call us at 4522636, or you could also reach out to me at 725-1700. That's 725-1700. So until next time, young folks, keep pushing, keep building, and keep believing in the power of young people. This is Miguel Fabry. Until next week, say goodbye.
But imagine, sometimes it's feeling like there's only 2 days in the week. Yesterday was Monday, and look at that Friday afternoon.